Welcome to the Militia Gaming Community. I'm Trigger, and this video is all about the Polestar 1 Hero Edition cover car. Let's go! Alright, so the purpose of these wrong build videos is to provide you with the best build for track, dirt, drag, and drift for each of the cars that we test. Now before I go to film this video, usually I'll go out and test the engines. The engine testing process is really not something that is real viewable for you guys. So I've already looked at these engines, we've already tested them, and there is one particular engine that is going to work the best for this car, and it's really no surprise because it's the only engine that will allow this car to get to a 400 rating. And that engine is the 721 horsepower forged 3.8 liter V6. It's actually a little surprising that a V6 would be the best engine for the car. Traditionally, the engines in this game that do the best are V8s and then the V10s, and every once in a while you get a V12 that works as well. But this is actually my first experience with a V6 engine. Actually, I take that back. On the Porsche RSR, they only have 6-cylinder engines, so that was one where a V6 would work. But in this case, it's the only car that I've tested so far that has options for V12 and V10 and V8 options, but a V6 is better. Now that being said, it is a forged V6, so I don't know. It's kind of no surprise, but it is kind of surprising at the same time. So anyway, what I'm going to do with this car is we're going to go out and test the gearbox. We're going to test the differential. When I was running through these engines, I noticed that it took a long time for the car to slide, like the rear end didn't want to come loose. It's a very grippy car, so I think we could make an adjustment to the differential. We'll run it a couple of times on Ariane, and then we'll find out if a differential like Showcase or Speed Cross works better for track racing. Now, it's not likely. Most of the time the track differential is the one you want to go with, but we'll test it out and just see how it goes. So first of all, my build so far is Ultimate Plus everything and the Ultimate Dual Turbo. I've got the 5x3 pound NOS, Super Track Suspension, Elite Brakes, and Elite Race Tires. After that, it's the Elite Plus Clutch, obviously, and then I'm running the 8-speed gearbox, but I think I want to change it up and see how it runs on the 6 and the 7 as well. So we're going to try to test that as well, these next two runs. And then, as we just talked about, the differential. I have the track differential in here. Usually with a track build, you don't go to a Speed Cross differential, it's a Showcase, but we're gonna find out here in just a little bit. Now notice that this car is one of the few cars that has a 400 plus rating and 10 on every single stat. Now, for most of you, that seems really, really good, right? But the reality is performance differs from the stats you see. So if you compare this all 10s car to another all 10s car, they're going to perform completely differently on the track. So we really have to go out and drive it to figure out if it's going to compete for a top spot in the car lineup. Now that being said, we really need to find out if this car is worth being on the cover. This is the cover car for Need for Speed Heat. Is it worth being on the cover? I don't know. We're going to find out. So let's go ahead and take it out to Ariane and see what goes on with the differential and the gearbox, and then I will give you my full track build for this car. Alright, for this first test, we're actually going to switch to a Showcase differential and see what the difference is in times. With the track differential, I was able to run a 303 on this course, which is actually quite slow. So I'm hoping that this Showcase differential allows me to take turns at a little bit higher speed by allowing the rear end to slide just a little bit more. Here we go, test one. Oh man, it's kind of a slow launch, and I burned 4 NOS on that. Oh my goodness, we're definitely restarting that. Alright, take 2. Let's only use 3 bottles off the start. It's still a little bit of a slow start. I don't know if I like the way that took the corner. I mean, it was clean, but it didn't have the speed. It didn't feel fast. That being said, it picks up pretty well. Up over 200. Oh my goodness. Alright, we are off again. Like I said, picks up speed really nicely. That showcase diff does not seem to be helping at all. Look at it understeer like crazy. Even when I'm trying to drift these corners, it's understeering like crazy. Like, it just really doesn't want to give you a hard turning angle at all. On top of that, mid acceleration, meaning like from 100 to 150, is pretty poor. I'm pretty disappointed with it, honestly. Man, it just wants to understeer like crazy. It will not turn this corner. That one it did fine, but for some reason, at higher speeds, it just grips. It just doesn't have it in the corners, man. It really will not take these turns very well. I think this is a better car for like Sonic or something like that. It's just really slow in the turns. See, in order to get that turn to happen, I had to handbrake that. Let's see what the time was. 3:04.98, which is definitely slower than with the track differential. On top of that, I just really didn't like the way it handled with the showcase. So we're gonna go back to track differential, and let's play with some gearboxes. All right, I've got all 3 gearboxes purchased at this point. So I've got the 6, the 7, and the 8. So let's take it up some curvy hills and let's just see how they perform. And then after that, we're gonna be running this thing through Sonic. See how it does on Sonic. All right, first test, 6-speed gearbox. So we're gonna take this up this hill and see how the shifts are on these tight drift corners. But it shifts halfway through that corner to 4th, which makes it bog down a lot. That one, it keeps it in 3rd, which is nice. This one probably is going to put it in 4th. It did. So shift halfway through that into 4th and then had to downshift back to 3rd for accelerating up the hill. So I really don't like the way that this 6-speed handles. Let's swap it over to the 7 and see if it feels any better. Alright, here's the 7-speed test. Again, we are looking for something that doesn't overshift and also has high RPMs throughout the turn. That one held pretty well in 4th. Let's see here. Again, holds nicely in 4th. Has good acceleration out of the turn. That feels really, really good. Again, holds 4th for the entire turn and then shifts when it gets out. I like it. That feels really, really good. The 7-speed definitely performed well on that hill. I really, really like the way that performed. Alright, let's go ahead and switch over to the 8-speed and let's just see how this feels. Same thing, we're looking for high RPMs without overshifting. 5th gear through that turn, RPMs were good. 5th gear for that. From that turn, RPMs were still a little low and it downshifted. The RPMs were too low, it downshifted to 4th. On this one, keeps 5th gear, high RPMs, decent acceleration outside, so it's really not too bad. The 7-speed definitely performed better than that, but it was very, very close. It's very close. Alright, so for this engine, I believe the 7-speed feels much, much better. It feels like the car handles better through the turns, and it does not redline and it doesn't bog because of an overshift. So I like the 7-speed. It doesn't mess around when it's in these turns. It actually stays in the gear that it needs to be in, and when you leave the turn, you have maximum acceleration. So I'm gonna go with the 7-speed on this particular build. All right, let's go ahead and give you the full track build right now. So Of course, the engine we talked about, it's the forged 3.8 V6. I'm running all Ultimate Plus parts with the Ultimate Dual Turbo. I'm running the 3x5, 5x3 NOS, the track suspension, Elite brakes, Elite race tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite 7-speed gearbox, and the Super Track differential. Alright, as far as live tuning goes, I use a very low steering sensitivity for almost every single build that I do. Gives me a more precise control over the car. As far as the downforce goes, I have it all the way down and then up 1 notch. So it's basically like a -4 on the downforce. Traction control off, and drift style is going to be brake. This actually helps the rear end of the car slide just a little bit more. When you tap the left trigger on your controller, you initiate the drift sequence when you're going through a turn. So I like the drift style at brake for this particular car. Alright, that's it for the track build. Let's go ahead and go back to the garage and turn this thing into a drag racer. Alright, to change this into a drag racer, all we need to do is swap the nitrous system. We're going to do the 1x15. We're going to change the tires to drag tires. There we go. And then we're going to play around with the gearboxes because we don't really know which gearbox is going to be the most effective from 0 to a quarter mile. So we have all the gearboxes purchased and we can go outside the garage and kind of play with them right now. All right, we're going to start with the 6-speed and see what the quarter mile is for that. Comes out to 9.27. We want to minimize the downforce. Unfortunately, that doesn't change the quarter mile. So 9.27 with a 6-speed, that is pretty slow in this game. Obviously that's super fast in real life, but for this game, not so fast. So let's see if we swap over to the 7-speed gearbox, if it gets any better. 9.10, it's better, but still not great. Let's give a shot to the 8-speed here. 9.07 with the 8-speed transmission. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's the best gearbox for this car for a drag race scenario, but it's really not that fast. 9.07 is kind of towards the bottom of the list when it comes to drag racing in this game, so I don't really know if I like it for a drag race car, although it looks amazing. I mean, this car is just phenomenal looking. I really wish we could customize it a little bit, but I love it. I love all of the little vents. I mean, more vents equals more speed, right, guys? Anyway, let's take this for a run down the old drag race track here, and let's see how it does. It feels so slow. A full 15-pound bottle of NOS is done, and it didn't even hit 180 miles an hour. That is crazy. It does pick up, though, at the end. It has decent top speed, I'm not gonna lie. It has decent top speed, but, man, almost no low-end acceleration, which explains why the quarter mile is only 9.07. Alright, I'm done with you as a drag car. Let's turn you into a drift mobile. The Polestar in real life is an all-wheel drive car. It has 2 electric motors that power the rear wheels, and then it has an engine that powers the front wheels. So with that being said, I think we need to set this up as if it was a traditional all-wheel drive drift car, which if you've watched any of my channel before, you know that I go with the Speed Cross suspension, the Pro Drift tires, and the Sport Drift differential. Everything else stays the same as the track build or the drag build. In fact, you could change the NOS if you want, but I don't NOS when I drift at all. Some people do, I don't, but if you do, use the 5x3 pound NOS. And let's take this out and let's just see how it feels. The last part of a drift build, though, is the live tuning. You need the steering sensitivity all the way up and the downforce all the way down. And then the drift style, I always keep on gas. That way you know that's what's going to be initiating the drift every single time. Alright, let's give this a try on these couple of drift sections that are close to the garage. Oh my goodness. A little weird to control, not gonna lie. See if I can get the hang of it. Not bad. It feels like you have to force it, though. It doesn't feel naturally like a drift car. 39,000 is whatever. Not very good compared to the highest. It's 89, but 39 gives you 3 stars on that particular drift section. I don't know if it would be worth it to swap to the rear-wheel drive setup, but let's take it in here and just see how it does on the track. It feels really sticky. The drift angle doesn't feel like you can get a nice angle without it, like, maybe over-rotating. It feels, I don't know, it just feels wrong. I'll just put it that way. It feels wrong to drift this car. It's definitely possible. I'll 3-star this event, but it definitely feels wrong. And see, I almost got 100,000 on that course. It's really not the best. 238 is what I'm capable of, but that's with the RX-7. This car is not a great drift car, I'll be honest. Let's see if we can change some things real quick and run it one more time. Just to give it a try, I put in my rear-wheel drive drift setup. Oh no, it doesn't turn. I've got... Checkpoint missed. Oh no. Alright, this is definitely the worst setup. It will not turn. Oh my goodness. Alright, that's a terrible setup. We don't want that. Doesn't work. Alright, so I'm going with the very first drift build that I put on here, which is the all-wheel drive drift build, and that is the Forge 3.8 engine, just like we had before, Ultimate Plus engine parts, and the Ultimate Dual Turbo, 5x3 pound NOS. The suspension is a very important piece. In this case, Speed Cross suspension, Elite brakes, and the Pro Drift tires. Elite Plus clutch, Elite Plus 8-speed gearbox, and the Sport Drift differential. Now that we're done sliding around on the pavement, let's go slide around in the dirt a little bit. Let's transition this into a rally or dirt car. So to do that, I'm going to switch to the rally suspension. We're going to change the tires over to off-road, and then we're going to switch the differential as well. Off-road tires, and we need to change the differential to a rally differential. Now the engine performed the best with the 7-speed gearbox on the pavement or track build, so we're going to switch back to the 7-speed gearbox for the off-road build as well. Alright, I'm going to take this car out to HTV2 and rumble now that we have a rally or off-road build set up, and we're going to see how it performs in the dirt, and then I can give you the rankings for the track, the drag, and the off-road as far as how it stacks up against other cars that I've tested. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Alright, here we go. Test 1, HTV2. It's a little slow out of the gate. Most cars off-road pass those cars a lot faster than that. Well, let's just see how it does the rest of the run. Slides around quite a bit. I don't know. Oh no. Flips on the ground right there. We got to be careful of that next run. Yeah, it struggles on the dirt. It just doesn't have the top speed on the dirt. I have a feeling it'll be middle of the pack, if not slower. But we will see. At least I didn't clip on the ground on this lap. So even with NOS, it barely hits 133 on that straight. Other cars can get up to 143. Yeah, that didn't feel that fast. It felt pretty slow. I didn't take notice of the time though. Let's see what we got. 156.05. Not great. Not great for off-road. Very slow actually for HTV2. This car is going to be in the bottom for sure. Alright, let's take it over to Rumble just to be sure. Maybe it does better on a more open course. Here we go, Rumble test. Let's get going, baby. Come on. Oh my goodness, it's so slow. The acceleration in the dirt is just there's nothing. There's no acceleration. Even with the NOS. Not a dirt car, everybody. Alright, final lap. I still have not passed the second place guy. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I lapped this guy earlier in the lap. So it's pretty slow, this car, on the dirt. I really wouldn't recommend it. It's in the 320s. 320s. That's not good. That's almost as bad as the Raptor. 323.47. Okay, it's not quite as bad as the Raptor, but it's close. It's getting close. Alright, let's take a look at this final off-road build. There's really nothing we can do to make this thing faster. It's just not good in the dirt. So here's what we've got. Ultimate Plus engine parts on the forged engine, of course. Ultimate dual turbo with a 5x3 pound NOS. Rally suspension, elite brakes, elite off-road tires, elite plus clutch, and the elite 7-speed gearbox. Super rally differential. The auxiliaries you can run what you want, but I do recommend nitrous duration. Alright, let's take a look at the rankings real quick, and then I'll be back with a little bit of a summary for this car. Alright, I don't really know what to say about this car, to be honest with you. It's pretty terrible at everything. I mean, it's in the bottom third with track. Its drag time is terrible. It can't even run under a 9-second drag race quarter mile. And drifting is pretty much non-existent when it comes to points. You can definitely drift it if you want to just take it around for style. It looks good, but it doesn't drift very well at all. And on top of that, it's a pretty terrible off-road car. I mean, this is literally one of the worst cars in the game, and it's on the cover of the game. It looks amazing, and I guess that's really all you need to be on the cover, right? But for me, I don't think I'll ever drive this car again. It's a great garage car, it looks awesome, but I can't even put my custom license plate on it. I mean, there are no customization options. You can't put underglow on it, you can't put license plates on it, you can't change anything about the car. It has to look like this, and yet it drives terrible. It is terrible. This is like literally one of the worst cars in the game. To be honest, I would rather drive the Raptor. Okay, maybe not the Raptor. Just not the Raptor. But any other car, pretty much. So anyway, guys, that's really it for this car. It's terrible at everything. Don't drive it, but definitely buy it and put it in your showcase because it is the cover car of the game. That being said, if you have any questions about this video or any video on the channel, you're welcome to send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter. My DMs are always open, and I try to answer every single one. I've been falling behind a little bit lately on the comment section, so sorry to all the people who have been commenting. Please continue to comment. I love it. I love all the comments that I've been getting. You guys are so positive, and I'm trying to keep up with DMs. So if you have any questions regarding the video, like I said, send me a DM. All right, shout out to all the Militia subs. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.